Marvel vs. Capcom 2 New Age of Heroes.
I still remember, as a kid, getting my hands on Marvel vs. Capcom 2 New Age of Heroes on the PlayStation 2. Being able to play some of my favorite Marvel superheroes and my favorite Capcom characters in a fighting game with so many characters in the roster was just a joy. It was so happy. It was just so much fun as a kid. Sadly though, I feel at the time I really didn't appreciate much the game since I was a kid. I feel once I got older and started getting seriously into fighting games, I actually developed a appreciation for games like Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And sadly, by the time I realized the value of the game, trying to play it right now has become quite the chore, and it can be quite an expensive one too if you want to play the game legitimately. And also, for those that don't know, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was delisted from many stores, so you can't get it on the PS3 or Xbox 360, which once you were able to in the past. Today, however, I was reminded about this game and how I would love to see it free from its jail. So not just me, but others can enjoy this fun and amazing game that brought a lot of joy in my childhood.
Brandon versus Potter, first to 10. 400.
What's up guys, it's Oblivious Gamer here, and well, yes, today I want to talk a bit about Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and some of the games that you could say are stuck in the past in a way that are like very hard for you to play them nowadays. But before I continue, if you like the content, don't forget to subscribe. You're probably wondering what triggered me to reminiscence about this game. And well, if you have been on Twitter, you might have seen Marvel vs. Capcom 2 started trending, particularly after Maximillian Dude, a big influencer, especially in the FGC, did a video and tweeted about Marvel vs. Capcom 2. If you are interested, I will leave his video down below if you want to watch. He gets a lot more in depth about the game. For me, I just want to do a small, brief video with my thoughts and to piggyback from the idea, since I feel there are a ton of games I would love to see in current gen or in PC that are just stuck in the past. Now, as we know, games like Marvel vs. Capcom are in a bit of a complicated situation because of licensing. A lot has changed. Rights have moved from different hands from when the game originally came out. I mean, there was a good version with rollback netcode of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, however, it was delisted, and of course, due to licensing issues, which really sucks for those that want to get into the game now. I think there are a lot of games that sadly have been stuck in the past and are very hard to play them legitimately. An example, one of my favorite games, Capcom vs. SNK 2. Yes, I am aware there's a PSN version, but it sucks ass. It's a terrible port, to be honest. It runs bad, don't even try it. Trying to actually play games like, Capcom vs. SNK 2, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, without an emulator can be quite hard, as you need to find copies of the games, or if you actually find the copies, they can be quite expensive. Even trying to get a console like a PlayStation 2 can be expensive depending on where you buy it and how lucky you are. And let's say, well, why not use emulator? Even using an emulator sometimes isn't a solution. Emulators have gotten a lot better due to hardware and people improving them, but sometimes some games just can't run properly, or if they run, you can see that there's a difference with the emulated game versus how it originally run. So again, it's really hard for somebody to play these games nowadays. It is very sad, I feel. I mean, there are a lot of games I would love to see again re-released on current gen or the PC. I would pay for them in a heartbeat. Fighting games like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or Capcom vs. SNK, to racing games like Need for Speed Underground. I personally think there is a market to re-release games that are just hard to get nowadays, and then also trying to get the hardware. I mean, a game that was literally stuck in the Vita, for example, Persona 4 Golden, which it was your only way to play the game. You had to have a Vita or obviously emulate it. But last year they released the game on PC, and sales wise it did pretty good. Even Atlas and Sega were shocked and surprised that it sold pretty good. So there's a lot of room here for these games to, be sold and these companies to make money. However, not every game, of course, that they re-release will sell thousands of copies, but I bet there are a lot of titles people would be willing to pay again that are hard to get a copy today. And to the people who say nobody wants to play old games, or they are old games for a reason and people should be playing new games, that's why I got a PS5, because I want to play next-gen games, I would say fuck you, because there's a lot of people who play old games. Some have old hardware to play it, others have to do it through emulation. Personally, I once a week just sit down and play some rounds of Capcom vs SNK 2 and Marvel vs Capcom 2, and I have a blast. I just have so much fun, and I would love to play these games online or have them run properly or not have to, use my Brooks converter. Yes, I understand. Some of these hoops are not that big, you can easily get through them, but still, I believe there should be a much easier option and a legal, let's call it, option for people available. I do think with the entire Marvel vs. Capcom 2 conversation that was going on, it would be very successful if it was re-released again with that rollback netcode it had. They don't even have to do anything. Like, they don't have to remaster it or re-release and work on the sprites. They just have to release it on current gen or on PC, and people will buy it for sure. We have even seen that there is a demand for Marvel vs. Capcom games. I mean, Arcade 1UP has been doing cabinets for Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes, and it has sold pretty well. At least I think a lot of people really like the cabinet, and some people who would never want to get a cabinet just bought them because this is literally one of your only ways to play Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes, and even features online. I do think at this point, it's really hard for us to do much. It's really up to these companies and whoever owns, the rights. I do think, like I said, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 does have a slight chance of maybe getting re-released, since we did get the Arcade 1UP cabinets that have Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes. So that means that there is some talks going on between Capcom and Marvel that allows that game to be re-released in some format. So Marvel vs. Capcom 2 could happen. I mean, also the companies might consider it too, since we had a lot of people talking about the game and people wanting to play it again and buy it. However, in the end of the day, do these companies really care about how we feel? No. I mean, these companies don't give a crap if we even beg them every day, if we're constantly begging them. What they care is making money. So it's really hard to see these games being released, because if they don't see that they're gonna make money, they really don't care, because again, it's a licensing nightmare. So in the end, there really isn't much we can do other than try to get the ball rolling, as people have been doing today with Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and hoping that maybe they get the attention of someone important who would be willing to push this game and try to get it released again. But until that happens, we only have a few options here to play these types of games. We either have to get the old hardware and try to get old copies of the game, or we emulate them. So for now, that's pretty much the solution if you want to play one of those games that are very hard to get and are just stuck in the past. So what are your thoughts, guys? Any games you would want to see re-released that are hard to get your hands on nowadays? This has been Oblivious Gamer, and I hope you'll have a wonderful day or night wherever you are.